Israel versus Anderson Silva, man. This is going to be a huge fight. Man, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what I love about Anderson Silva, if you look at his entire career, all the things that he's done and accomplished, and the guy still wants to take a run at that title. I love that. Why are you here unless you don't want to be the best in the world? You know what I mean? And continue to win world titles. I love it. So I'm excited about that fight. And obviously, Israel Adesanya, undefeated, 15-0. Anderson Silva said he always wanted to fight, you know, a guy who was just like him. Well, he got it. This Israel Adesanya is unbelievable.
If Israel knocks out Anderson, is that a wrap for Anderson?
I don't know. I would probably imagine it is, but who knows with this guy?
He's had the PED stuff in the past. Will that affect him going into the UFC Hall of Fame one day?
No. Listen, there's been guys who've made mistakes here. It happens. He paid the penalty. He paid the price for it. He sat out his suspension, paid his fines, did all the stuff he needed to do, and now he's back.
So he's going to the Hall of Fame for sure, 100%.
110%.
So he recently gave an interview, and he said he's a humble guy, but he said if he was to fight John Jones in his prime and John's prime, that John would beat him. Do you believe that?
That's pretty humble.
Yeah.
That's pretty humble. I always wanted to make that fight. You got to respect Anderson for saying that. But you know what the real answer is to that? Anderson Silva doesn't know the answer to that question. Nobody knows the answer to that question. The only way to answer that question was to make that fight happen back then and see what would happen.
Did you try?
I did.
And what happened?
If you think about that period in time, I had George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, and John Jones, at welterweight, middleweight, and light heavyweight. I always wanted to do some type of a fight. Anderson Silva was the guy in the middle, who could have fought either. I would have loved to have done it.
Let's talk about Robert Whitaker before we go here. Robert Whitaker, it's been a while since we've seen him fight. Have you spoken with him? Where's his head at? And what happens if he gets through this fight?
Well, I was just with him a couple months ago. He won the GQ Fighter of the Year in Australia. So he was training and getting ready, and he's excited for this fight. What's next is Anderson Silva and Israel Adesanya are fighting that night to see who the number one contender for the title is. So, if he gets through Gastelum, who's a tough dude, then he's got to look at either Israel Adesanya or Anderson. So, when you're the champ, man, everybody's coming for you. All the baddest dudes on the planet are looking to take you out.